Pistol grip, on my neck at all times. Pistol grip, on my neck at all times. Pistol grip, on my neck at all times. They can be fucking with other niggas shit, but they can't be fucking with mine. Pistol grip, on my neck at all times. Pistol grip.
Your little beat goes on, yeah, round and round. We'll find a way, just give it time, yeah. Hot Shots LA. Welcome. Huge week. College football, pro football. Fantastic games yesterday, although I spent a lot of my Saturday afternoon stuck at a wrestling tournament, high school wrestling tournament. A lot of hurry up and wait. So I didn't get to see the early games, but I did get to see the later games. Around the area in high school football, big congratulations to San Dimas High School. San Dimas High School winning the CIF championship over Paraclete, 20-14. Unreal. Started off the season 0-4. For those of you who listen to previous podcasts, lost their best player, transferred out right before the beginning of the season, was under investigation for giving out, was it weight gaining shakes? Somebody said they were illegal weight gaining shakes. Survived all that and ended up winning the whole thing. Congratulations to my friend Bill Zernicow, the head coach at San Dimas High School. What else have we got in high school world? I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but how about Brett Favre's team winning the Mississippi State Championship? Offensive coordinator went on a fake field goal. They won 14-7. Brett Favre must be doing a great job of calling plays. Scored 7 points in the state championship game. Team ended up winning, though. It's funny, these guys, Favre being offensive coordinator. Sean Payton was an offensive coordinator, and I've gone on record talking about Sean Payton before. I think he's an all right coach, but I think he's a grade A scumbag by some of the other things. But he was coaching again, Pop on a team. Team got killed in the championship by like 70, 60 points versus a team that runs a single wing. My offense, my style of offense, very difficult to defend against. I digress. Too much going on in the college game to sit around and talk about Sean Payton as a single wing. Oh, huge week. The BCS is set. The games are set. The Bulls schedule just came out. Right when I was sitting here waiting for the show to begin. National championship game's pretty obvious. Auburn, Florida State. Unreal. I love it. Auburn threw the ball 11 times. 11 times last game. Still ended up putting up, 53 points? Huge win for Auburn. Florida State and Jameis Winston. The Jameis Winston case finally broke down this week. Good. I shouldn't say not found guilty, not going to press charges against him. Seems it's this girl, if you will, who originally made the claims. They found multiple men's semen in her. I don't know how they even find that. What, do they find it in her underwears? I don't even know, how does that work? Multiple semens in your underwears? What kind of person just has multiple semen, doesn't wash them? Anyways, she said the guy that supposedly sexually assaulted her was a nondescript black male between the height of 5'10" and 6 feet. Well, Jameis Winston, I don't know if you've ever seen the guy talk, but he's anything but nondescript. He's like 6'4", 18 years old, talks like a 50-year-old preacher. It's actually kind of almost feminine the way Jameis Winston talks. Hopefully he's, I'm sure he's not listening. But that pretty much, him not being charged, pretty much opens the way, clears the way for him to win the Heisman. I think he's got to win it at this point, especially after last night, blowing out Duke. What was it, 45-7? That was one of those games. Duke ends up getting the ball, holds on the ball for a long time, keeps it close, what they need to do, and then just flipping back and forth between that and the Michigan State game. Next thing you know, Florida State's just touchdown. So it seems that Winston's going to be a shoo-in at this point. He gets my vote. Here's my top 4 Heisman. Finish the season. I know last week I was pumping up Jordan Lynch, but not so much anymore after them getting beat by Bowling Green. Here's how I got it. Winston 1. 2, I'm going Teddy Bridgewater. He threw 28 touchdown passes and 4 picks, and his team still was 11-1. And he had a signature moment, his Musburger signature moment this past week. Running around. He's an underrated runner. That guy can run too, but he doesn't take off very much. Threw the ball up. Oh, shit. I don't even know who caught it, but it was a Manziel. If Musburger was doing the game, it would have creamed his jaws. I bet you Musburger has multiple semen in his freaking... The foul thought. I don't even know why something like that would cross my mind. So Teddy Bridgewater 2, 3. I got to do it. Johnny Football. Still 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns. Like 600 yards on the ground on a team, I don't know. Johnny Manziel 3. Winston 1, Bridgewater 2, Manziel 3. Aaron Donald, defensive tackle, Pitt 4. Guy had 10 sacks this year and 26 tackles for losses. Those are my Heisman votes in order. Jameis Winston. Moving on. Alabama, coming from last week, this is a story I read this past week. I just thought it was too good to turn away. A 28-year-old woman in Alabama shot and killed a 36-year-old woman because the 36-year-old woman that she killed wasn't upset enough that Alabama lost to Auburn. She wasn't mad enough. So she shot her and killed her. Damn Auburn, Alabama. I don't know if you've seen that. I forget what that special was about that guy who killed that tree in Auburn. Well, Auburn's getting the last laugh as they play for the national championship. That guy killed the tree I forget the name, the specifics of it, but he killed this famous oak tree in Auburn, poisoned it. Roll Dame Tide. I was just watching that Ohio State-Michigan game last night. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Ohio State. I think their fan base is obnoxious as well. This is a masshole who pulls for the Red Sox and the Patriots. So I know obnoxious fans. I'm one myself. I don't like Ohio State. But I was watching the Ohio State-Michigan State game, and I wanted Ohio State to lose. But then I realized if Ohio State lost, the SEC gets another team in the national championship again. For like the 15th year in a row. I can't even remember the last time there wasn't an SEC team playing for the title. So it was a lesser of two evils. Do I want Ohio State, whom I don't like? Or I want Auburn? The SEC fans are obnoxious. What are the fans at the games, at all these games, decide, IFEC. What the hell are they pulling? You can't pull for a whole conference. It's like if you're at a baseball game, you're at an Angel game or what have you. So American League. You can't pull for a whole fucking league. You can't stay in the SEC. Although they have the best teams, no doubt. I think Florida State gives it to Auburn, though. What do I know? I'm the guy who predicted the Falcons to go to the Super Bowl. But I think Florida State gives it to them. I like what Ohio State, though. Getting back to Ohio State, I like what Ohio State does on offense. It's my style. They let that guy, Braxton Miller, run. Braxton Miller can scoot. He's one of these guys that I think if they convert him to a receiver in the NFL, guy can play. Reading a study about he's the type of guy that you can use like Antoine Randall L. I was reading a study, was it on regressing.com, about how efficient plays are that non-quarterbacks throwing the ball. Pretty damn efficient. And I've always been a proponent of the double pass. It's an extremely difficult thing to defend. The problem coaches have when they throw the double passes, they always go for the bomb. They always, they put a guy in there who doesn't really throw the ball well. But if you could, I always thought this at the pro level, if you took a guy like Antoine Randall L., who has an unbelievable QB rating, something like, I don't even know QB rating numbers, whatever, but it's through the roof. You just put a guy in who can run and throw, get the ball in his hands, and have him have some kind of option, or at least an option look, 4 or 5 times a game. Extremely difficult to defend. But there's numbers that back it up, say that they are extremely efficient plays to run. Walter Payton used to do a ton of that. He threw a bunch of touchdowns. Of course, LaDainian Tomlinson used to do that all the time as well. What do we got? Let's go through some of the games. Other happenings in the college football world. Oklahoma. I was bashing Oklahoma on this program. It shows what kind of fool I am. This is like the 5th year in a row they've won 10 games. Something like that. Oklahoma ended up upsetting Oklahoma State, a team that still had national title aspirations. The Auburn game, I said 11 passes, 59 points. I'm sick of people who like to throw the ball just for the sake of it. I tell you, offensive coordinators get bored. They get bored. They feel like they put all this fucking time in during the week, and they spend all this energy and all this effort in making up plays. They feel like they have to run them all instead of just sticking to what they do and do it well with a few wrinkles in between. Boredom is the offensive coordinator, play caller's biggest foe. Teams get away from it all the time. Stanford putting it on Arizona State. I thought Arizona State was going to give them a fight. Stanford put it on them. Oh, another thing that really draws me offside watching these championship games the other night. I cannot stand that Dr. Pepper challenge. With that Papa Shot type thing when they throw it into a Dr. Pepper can. It's terrible. I mean, I do great to give a kid $100,000. That's cool. It's freaking terrible competition. Now they've come up with, people have figured out, they got smart. They understand that the chest pass style, the two-handed chest pass style is the quickest way to be able to get off the most accurate and quickest shot. You need to get rid of that. Why can't they go to something like a cover each other one-on-one and have retired quarterbacks throw or strap some pads on them? How about that? Have them tackle each other. Like, what was that show? Pros versus Joes? Have them do that for the $100,000. Bring out an old linebacker, dust off Brian Bosworth or someone like that. And have the people try to run through Brian Bosworth for $100,000 or whoever can drag them further, I don't know, or knock each other backwards. Enough of this Papa Shot shit. I'm tired of seeing that. Need to get rid of that. Yeah, I'll talk to my good friends at the Dr. Pepper, see if I can put a word in to get rid of them. Other topics of the college game. USC goes out and hires Steve Sarkisian, who I thought for a while that was a guy that they were going to go out and get. Another USC former assistant retread. A fool Ed Orgeron is, though, huh? The guys, they were going to make him the highest paid assistant coach in the country. And he refuses, and he storms out and quits. Got all pissed off, and he quit. Who's going to hire him now, guy? Who knows? There's possibly some history with him and Sarkisian. Maybe he just doesn't like the guy. You just don't quit. You got a gravy train there. You get the highest paid. Beautiful Southern California. USC team is going to be back. Be the assistant head coach. Highest paid assistant head coach. Don't even have to call plays. Quits. Ego. Pride. Pride fucking with his head. Oh, well. Be interesting to see where he lands. Someone will hire him. Someone will give him some kind of job. Supposedly he's a great recruiter. I don't know. What else we got? Other bowl games of note. We got the Orange Bowl, Oklahoma State, Clemson. No, excuse me. Clemson, Ohio State. Should be a fun one. Fiesta Bowl, Baylor, Central Florida. Baylor's going to score 70 points. Rose Bowl. The national championship game is at the Rose Bowl this year, but that's the national championship game. But the Rose Bowl itself, Michigan State, Stanford. I like what Michigan State does, too. The Big Ten gets a lot of shit. Everyone's, Big Ten's boring football. I won't even watch it. Bullshit. I'd rated Michigan State, Ohio State game last night was great. It was a fun game to watch. I like Michigan State's unis, too. The sharp green. The sharp-looking green color. Should be a good one. Two teams that run the football. Michigan State, Stanford, the Rose Bowl. I want to look into trying to go to the national championship game this year, too. I don't know how much... Probably get in the door for what, $200-$300? We'll see. I'll stop making phone calls around. Maybe I can get a press pass. That'd be something. Do I want to leave the college game? Yeah, let's leave the college game. Let's get into the wacky world of the pros. Pro football today. Unreal. Some exciting finishes. As always, what about the Pats? What's that, 5-6 weeks in a row now? They had some kind of Last second comeback, it's going to catch up to him, though. I fear it's going to catch up to him in the playoffs. Not going to be able to do that every week. But again, they pull one out of their ass. Of course, Gronk out again. Thinking ACL, that'll put him out a whole calendar year. So Gronk won't be around next year, and maybe the playoffs next year. Awesome. He makes such a huge difference in that squad, too. It's really a shame. He's just one of these guys that seems like he's never going to stay healthy. It's too bad. Although I've gone on record saying I think he's a little bit of an ass clown, the guy still can make plays. Still a great player. Pats pull it out today. I was talking last week at length about Mike Tomlin as well. Came down with a $100,000 fine. A $100,000 fine. About, how we almost stepped into the field last week. Here's what kicker for. This is what I didn't get. The NFL was saying, the intent didn't matter. Of course the freaking intent mattered. First of all, there's no way he did it. He did it on purpose. I think he's dumb. He wanted off. I just think he got lost the way he was. But if he meant to get in the way, they should fire him. But I don't think he did. $100,000, that's more money I'm making in 2 years. Just for being an idiot and stumbling on the field. Oh, well deserved. Sick of the Bobby G 3 and 10. Sick of that soap opera in Washington. Jesus, enough. Get Shanahan out. It's over. Now it seems like he's leaking stories to the press, saying that he cleared out his desk last year before the playoffs because he was going to quit because he didn't like the way Daniel Snyder was coddling Robert Griffin. Yeah, that's going to work out well going forward. I would not be surprised, I speak right now, I would not be surprised Mike Shanahan's being dismissed. I tell you, Redskins, I wouldn't put it by Snyder to go out and get Art Briles, head coach of Baylor, former Najee 3's former head coach. The guy that puts up, his teams continuously put up 70 points. And the guy came out of the high school ranks as well. Respect Art Briles. I think that'd be a huge hire. Snyder's done it before. He went out and talked Joe Gibbs. Nobody saw that coming. Got Joe Gibbs back into the game. Steve Spurrier. No one saw Steve Spurrier leaving disastrously. And going back, and doing quite well at South Carolina. Who else? There's someone else I'm missing than the Washington Redskins. But I'm sick of it. We had that fantastic finish in the Minnesota-Baltimore game. We had the fantastic finish in the Patriot game. There's one other one I'm missing. But the only thing they want to talk about Fox in the OT is Audrey 3 and 10. It's funny how they just love that controversial shit. The fiasco. Maybe Donovan McNabb and Abba Hainsworth were right. I know Al Davis didn't like Mike Shanahan as well. Shanahan seems to be a guy who wears out his welcome. Might be a decent coach. He's obviously won some championships, but with arguably, one of the top 3 quarterbacks of all time. And I digress. Tired of it. Tired of RG3. He needs a fresh start as well. A story that kind of went under the radar in the last few weeks. Tom Brady, when he got married to Giselle in Costa Rica, the guys who were hired to work security, the bodyguards, if you will, shot at some paparazzi after they took some pictures. And were just sentenced to 3 years for attempted murder. I never really talked about that story, and I followed the team quite thoroughly. I don't know how that one snuck through. And then this week, Brady, some security guards for the Texans, tried to take his picture with Brady. He obliged, of course, being the fine gentleman that Tom Brady is. He got fired. The security guards got fired for taking pictures with Brady. Speaking of fired, Texans, that must be something they like to doubt down. Houston. Fired Gary Kubiak this week. Have a heart. Didn't Kubiak just recover from a stroke? He said a stroke a couple weeks ago, gets back to the sideline, they turn around and fire the friggin' poor guy. Poor guy. Whatever. But he was there for like 7 years. It'd be another interesting hire because Houston's not that bad. Houston, NFL's funny. These teams, they such a there's such a small margin of error in these teams. That can 1 minute they can turn it around, and a 3-13 team could easily turn around and go 11-5, 12-4 the next year in this NFL. Especially if they go out and get a quarterback, and there'll be someone available. Who knows? Houston goes out and gets whoever. Ben Roethlisberger, Johnny Manziel. Who knows? You could easily turn it around. Be interested to see who they hire, though. I bet you they get a retread. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Wade Phillips, whom I like, but it'll be a retread. Mike Shanahan could be a name. See how that plays out in Houston. What else we got here? Philly and Lions. It's the first game in like 40 years when no points were scored on kicks in the friggin' blizzard. Tell you, Chipper's getting it done. He's found a way. And, these people, I've always talked at length about the inside zone and zone read, even though they don't do a ton of it. I think Seattle does more of it than anyone else, to be honest with you. Nobody complains about Seattle. But Chipper's finding a way. I think the Eagles are for real. I would not be shocked if the Eagles found a way to go deep in the playoffs. We'll see. Lions are a joke, though. I can't even stand the Lions. Again, Matt Stafford. Speaking of which, Terry Bradshaw was blowing Matt Stafford, calling him the best quarterback in football. What a breath of fresh air, Terry Bradshaw not being on the Fox pregame show today. I like Bradshaw, but it's time to hang it up. Stuck in Oklahoma. I don't know why he lives in Oklahoma. I don't think he's from there, but regardless, the game is much more quiet. A lot less shit. I don't know. What else we got? Green Bay. Matt Flynn era is back. Green Bay finally won a game. Green Bay's still in there. They get Aaron Rodgers back. Who knows? They can do anything. But a couple other guys got hurt today, too. Obviously, Gronkowski. Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson just seems like, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna end well with Adrian Peterson. He had a foot spray, and then he was took to the Twitter sphere to bitch about the fans of Baltimore for throwing snowballs. Oh, come on, guy. Of course you're going to throw snowballs. You're at a freaking game. You're drunk. And stuff is fun. Grow up, AP. You got to get out of Minnesota. Minnesota's just dysfunctional. Make matters worse, they were talking about Minnesota. I got stuck. Their airplane got hit by a canteen truck on the runway. Couldn't take off for hours. What kind of quaaludes do you have to be on to be driving a canteen truck and running into a parked plane? Only in Minnesota. They got to get rid of Leslie Frazier. The NFL should get rid of Ziggy Wolf as well. Ziggy. Moving on. Just sounded like, what's his name right there? What's that fool's name? Jim Rome. Moving on. Harvard study I looked at, and this is something I've said for years, particularly in basketball. Night games between East and West Coast teams. This study, Harvard, because, it's Harvard, and they don't have more important things to do other than look at football games and whether or not jet lag is a real thing in football games. Academia. Night games between East and West teams. Looked at 106 games from 1970 to 2011 that started at 8 p.m. or later. Compared them with 293 games that started at either 1 or 4 o'clock. Check this out. The West Coast teams were 70-36 against the spread in the night games, and 143 and 150 in the daytime games against the spread. That's something. Obviously, Vegas knows that. Obviously, real gamblers know that as well. But it's true. I always thought about that in basketball as well. Jet lag's no joke. It's a real thing. That's why they put a team over in London. That'd be a huge advantage to that team in London. Were they 6 hours, 6-hour difference, something like that? It would be worse for them when they go on the road. It's a nice study. Way to spend your time looking at those games. Who knew? Watch a great documentary on the NFL Network, The Great Wall of Dallas, about the O-line, the Dallas O-line of the 90s. Tell you, that Dallas team, at the time, I've always been kind of a Cowboy hater. That Dallas team can match up with anybody in any era. That O-line was enormous. And some strange fellows as well. Mark Tuinei died of a heroin overdose in his driveway. He was a mean guy, too, Tuinei. Former defensive lineman converted to an O-lineman. I tell you, I would do that all the time. I would just take a D lineman because usually in college you take your best athletes and you put them on the D line. I would do that in, the pro game all the time, although they're restricted with the roster spots and all that shit. But I would just take a D lineman, take a bunch of D linemen, just convert them all to O linemen. That's what they did with Tuinei. Mark Tuinei, Mark Stepnowski, president of the normal legalization of marijuana chapter in Texas, ended up moving to Canada because he was so disgusted with Americans' marijuana laws. Good for him. Speaking of marijuana, Nate Newton was on that line. Big old Nate. Got busted twice. I talked about this way back in August. Busted twice for dealing. He had like 30 pounds or more than that. I forget exactly. 100 pounds of weed. Got caught. Then like 2 weeks later or a week later, got caught again. Same thing. Thought he was infallible. Now he got a stomach staple and looks like a big giant head and teeth like Rex Ryan. I thought Nate Newton went to college with Pam Oliver. Pam Oliver's 52 years old. Jesus Christ. And look at, aged very well. Kevin Gogan. A giant of a man. Speaking of a giant of a man, Eric Williams as well. John Giesick. A great online. And if you go back and look at, so taking nothing away from Emmitt Smith, because he's one of the all-time greats, but you look at Emmitt Smith highlight films, and he was never getting touched. And part of that's him, but he would just run through these huge holes. Lead draw. Remember a ton of lead draw. That Cowboy team could stack up with anybody. Didn't appreciate him at the time. It's one of those things. Great book, too. Boys Will Be Boys by Jeff Pearlman. Fantastic book. That team was just a bunch of renegades and outlaws. Could never get away with that in the internet era. We talked about Michael Irvin stabbing a teammate with a pair of scissors. Jesus Christ. Good luck with trying to get away with that now. All those guys. Michael Irvin punched out a referee at a charity basketball game. Boys will be boys. The Cowboys. I love those old. Looking forward to the one in the 93 Houston Oilers. Buddy Ryan throwing that limp-wristed punch at Kevin Gilbride on the sideline. That should be a good one, too. That's this week. That Oilers team was loaded with talent as well. Kind of some innovators, too. The old run and shoot, the chuck and duck, if you will. What else we got? How about TJ McDonald last week trying to grab Vernon Davis's pack out and fucking twisted it and wouldn't let go? A lot of people don't realize, too, nobody wears a cup in the NFL. How many people wear cups in football, period? I actually wore one for I don't think I wore it my whole playing career, if I can even call it that, but my whole, all the years 10 years of whatever I played. I wore one because I wore one in baseball, so I just got used to it. I read an article on ESPN guy. He was talking and he asked a bunch of people why they don't wear cups. And the prevalent answer is that, it slowed him down. Made him too slow. But he went out and he did some tests with the cups and it didn't slow anybody down. I guess he timed some people and with or without the cup, no difference. Worked out himself with the cup, no difference. It's kind of counterintuitive. You would think they would wear cups in football, but it's one of those things you just don't do. People just don't do it. I am tired of this. It's kind of off topic, but this Ron Burgundy shit. Enough is enough. Fuck this. They're throwing this down our throat. And I'll say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't even think Anchorman's funny. It's not. It's a little too much. I've just become such a curmudgeon. I've become such a friggin' old man, to be honest with you. I don't think anything's funny anymore. I can't remember the last movie I saw that I thought was really funny. I don't know. I can't think of the top of my head, but this Ron Burgundy shit is everywhere. Enough. Sports Center, he's in North Dakota, he's showing up everywhere. I think that prediction, seeing I'm the great prognosticator. Prediction, Anchorman 2, it would be a huge disappointment. Of course, not for me. I really wasn't that impressed with the first one, but I don't know where my sense of humor went. Seattle, San Fran. So you think Seattle looks indestructible? They go out and kind of laid an egg today versus San Fran. Because I don't think San Fran looked all that great either, to be honest with you. Either one of those teams is primed to get knocked off. I would not be shocked if a team like Philly, although it's going to be tough to play Seattle in Seattle. But you never know. A team like Philly, team like Carolina. The prolate spheroid bounces funny. Could easily knock one of those teams off. Yeah, I don't know. They both look very vulnerable today. Colin Kaepernick, he didn't look good at all, but, ended up winning. Love the QB sweep, too, to ice the game, by the way. Huge fan of the QB sweep. Alex Smith used to do that tremendously well. That was also a great play. Alex Smith can run the ball. He can run the ball almost as well as Kaepernick. KC putting it on Redskins. I don't want to talk anymore Redskins. How about that Pittsburgh game? He stepped out of bounds by what? His pinky toe. Could have ended up winning the game. Who was that? Antonio Brown? Could have ended up winning the game. Stepped out unnecessarily. Stepped out of bounds. Good. I want Pittsburgh out of it. Same thing, too, with the Giants. Finally get the death toll in the Giants. I'm out. Tired of Eli. Tired of Tom Coughlin, although I have tremendous respect for him. My boy Ryan Rhoden, assistant coach with the Giants, though. I feel bad for him. Is he going to get canned? I don't know. If he does, I'm going to get him on the show. Talk about his Eli exploits. Peyton in the cold weather today. He just threw for 4 touchdowns, 400-something yards. Denver puts up 50. Fourth team in NFL history to score 50 or more points 3 times in a season. Other teams would do it. Dallas, 1966, the Giants in 1950, and the Rams in 1950. They always talk about the evolution of offenses and how these offenses now are so potent. But I tell you, every time I look to you see a record, a scoring record, or especially scoring records or touchdown records, they always seem like they're in the 50s and 60s. It always seems like those teams put up points equally as much as they do now. Keep an eye on that. If you the next scoring record you see, or next, touchdowns amount, obscene amount of touchdowns a guy scores in a game or what have you, it always seems like it's from the 50s and 60s. Speaking of records, segue. Broncos kicker Matt Prater finally broke the 63-yard field goal mark that was held by 3 people. Kicked a 64-yarder today. Who's the guy? Tom Dempsey, guy with the club foot. I don't even know how that's legal. He just had a stub. It was like it's like swinging a sledgehammer into the football. How's that even legal? Him, Janikowski, someone else. Jason Elam, I think. Yeah, 64-yard. Should be an asterisk next to it because he's in the light air of Denver. And the other guy, Elon, was in Denver as well. Yeah, it should be an asterisk there. Ball flies more. Nonetheless, 64-yard field goal today. A couple other things I wanted to get in before I let you go. Oh, Honey Badger got hurt today, too. Too bad. Torn ACL as well. I don't know how much, I guess these guys clean that shit up very well nowadays. That they can, the magician that is Dr. James Andrew can do it in his sleep. clean it up, maybe be back. But it's tough, man. You be a corner, going to be able to turn. That's why I saw these games today in the snow. It is wicked hard for a corner to be able to cut on the snow. That's why I tell you, when you're playing a snow game, throw the post route or the hitch and go. It's tough for corners. Once corners flinch, it's tough to get restarted in that snow and that frozen ground. You know, it's easier for a receiver who knows where he's going than it is for the DB who's got to redirect. Here's a stat I saw I loved. The past 2 seasons, Matt Flynn, he of the immortal Green Bay Packers, and 3 different teams this year. I don't know how many players have played with 3 different. It was 4 teams. I don't even know this year. They get 9 times as much money in the last 2 seasons as Russell Wilson. Getting back to that San Fran-Seattle game, I'm telling you, that's a huge advantage for those 2 teams. They got Russell Wilson and Kaepernick under contract. I know Colin Kaepernick reads a bunch of his Twitter and uses it as fuel. Regardless, I don't even know where I'm going with that. Anyway, it's a huge advantage. They got those guys on the rookie contract so they can load up other places. I tell you though, when Russell Wilson and Kaepernick's contracts are up, those franchises are going to be in trouble, the Seahawks and the 49ers, because they're going to be in trouble with the cap space after that. Russell Wilson's an odd duck, too. I like him. I think he's great. There's only a handful of quarterbacks I'd rather have than him. Not many. A weirdo, though. He showed him today in pregame walking around the field. He said he finds a spot on the field every game that he stares at and focuses and uses that as a spot to ground him. So as the game goes on and if he feels like he's kind of losing his way, he finds the spot in the field, his spot of zen, and refocuses his chi and all that shit. Strange fella. Good player, though. How about Bud Light being delivered? Kind of a side note, kind of an off track. Bud Light being delivered. It's the San Francisco, Oakland area. Like Domino's Pizza or Papa John's. You just call them up and they'll deliver. Of course, in the cities they have that, but not in the suburbs. In the cities they have local, liquor stores that deliver. But it'd be great. Call them up, have some Bud Light showing up to your house. I should do that right now, though I really don't need any more. All right, what do I got? About 6 nah. Watching the Patriots-Browns today got me thinking about the Browns and, I like the Browns unis, to be honest. I don't know. In HD TV and after 6 Bears, I think all the unis most of the unis look cool, but I really like the Browns unis on the HD TV. But I'm saying to myself, why do the Browns have orange helmets? So I went and looked that up today. Evidently, it's because Paul Brown saw the Bowling Green, who is from Ohio as well, Bowling Green, Ohio. He went to, he was scouting or something. He went to one of their games and he saw the orange helmets and he liked the orange look. The orange and brown, so we adopted them. Adopted the orange helmets. Stolen from Bowling Green. So it made me thinking too, that's a unique name, the Browns. How the hell did they come up with that? So we started, in this day and age of Google, you can Google anything and find out anything within 5 minutes. The Browns were obviously named after Paul Brown, legendary head coach of the team. They named the team after him. So I started looking at other teams and see where their names came from. There's a few interesting ones, but a lot of them were just contests. A lot of them were radio contests and newspaper contests to name the franchise. Some of the more interesting ones, though, I thought were Chicago Bears. George Halas, when he moved them to Chicago, they were originally the Decatur, Illinois Staleys, back when all the teams were, named by sponsors. Anyways, he brought the Bears to Chicago, and they played at Wrigley Field. And he just thought that the Bears football players were bigger and stronger than baseball players, so he named them the Bears. Because of the Cubs. Play in the same field, say, hey, we're bigger. Cubs are the little guys, we're the big guys, we're the Bears. This is a good one. This is another good one. The Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. They were originally in the Chicago Cardinals. And they got hand-me-down jerseys from the University of Chicago. And Chicago's uniforms were maroon. University of Chicago's uniforms were maroon. But they were the old ones, so they kind of faded a little bit. So the owner of the team thought they looked a little bit more of a Cardinal color. So he changed the name to the Cardinals. Chicago Cardinals, and they moved around a bunch of times. St. Louis, Arizona, irrelevancy. I shouldn't say that. Actually, their uniforms look great in HDTV as well, too. The all red, very sharp. Chargers. It's a good one. There's some discrepancies, but it's the one I like to go with. Baron Hilton, of course, great-grandfather or grandfather of the legendary Paris Hilton. He owned a credit card company, the Carte Blanche credit card. So they called him the Chargers. Of course, I also read he liked to cheer. He went to a SC game, and then he did the charge chant. He liked that. But I like the credit card one. Called them the Chargers. It's a good one. The Chiefs. The Chiefs were originally the Dallas Texans. Of course, you all know that. AFL squad, Lamar Hunt, moved him to Kansas City. Mayor of Kansas City at the time. His name was Rock Bottle. They called him the Chief. That was his nickname. Rock the Chief. So they could, or Rowe, rather, excuse me. Can't even read my own writing. Called him the Chief. So there you go, Kansas City Chiefs. The Eagles, 1933. The eagle was the symbol of the New Deal, the Franklin Roosevelt New Deal. To get us out of depression, symbol of the New Deal National Recovery Act was the eagle. So Philadelphia adopted the eagle. They were the Eagles. Back when people had pride in their government instead of just bitching about everything. Patriots, of course, New England, celebrate Patriots Day. The first, third Monday in April? Yeah, Patriots Day. Celebrating the Battle of Bunker Hill. What else we got? The Ravens. Edgar Allan Poe's home city's Baltimore. Famous poem, The Raven. Ended up being the Ravens. Tennessee Titans in Nashville. Nashville, evidently, is the Athens of the South. Greek mythology, the Titans. Named them the Titans because of the Athens of the South. I like that one. Well, the Rams. The Rams are originally the Cleveland Rams, and they're named after the Fordham Rams. Way back when, I guess the Fordham Rams were a powerhouse. They had the 7 blocks of granite and all that. And Vince Lombardi played there, and Fordham was a powerhouse in the Bronx. Now they're a 1AA squad, kind of irrelevant, but yeah, name them after Fordham. The Redskins, which I've actually talked about on this program before. Redskins were originally the Boston Braves. Played at Braves Field because, you know, the Atlanta Braves were originally the Boston Braves and all that. Then they moved to Fenway. And then instead of the Braves, they didn't want to be the Braves anymore, so they had the Red Sox. So they changed to the Redskins. And there you go. Rest is history. Packers. Originally sponsored by the Indian Packing Company in Green Bay. So they were the Packers. All right. I've bored you to death. What else? Any other ones that of note? No, a lot of them just radio contests. You know, teams like the Dolphins, the Jaguars. Just a bunch of, you know, collective heads. All right, I guess I'll dive into the trip bag because then I got to get going, although I feel like I'm leaving something out. Of course, I'll always be leaving something out. Just the name of the game. Yeah. Trip bag, what do we got? Go at Telly Two Putts. A baseball question? Nonetheless, I shall answer it. How the fuck can anyone leave Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame? Completely agree. Guy was never suspended for anything. It's just the holier than now, high and mighty, pinky in the air, Baseball Writers Association. They think they know everything. Give me a fucking break. I just legalize all of it. Screw it. You know? Because what's illegal today is going to be legal tomorrow. And I think at that point in time in the game, So many people were doing it anyways. What does it matter? Put a little note on his plaque if it's that big of a deal to you. Oh, he played under the auspices of potential performance enhancement drugs. Big deal. Can't wait till I make enough money and start taking human growth hormone. Supposedly it's the fountain of youth. Why fight it, people? It's science. Science! MJ Chandler. At MJ Chandler, excuse me. How many elite QBs are there in the NFL? Also, how unelite is Alex Smith? First question. How many elite quarterbacks in the NFL? Well, obviously you gotta go with the big four, if you will. Tommy Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, obviously all elite guys. The reason why those teams always, in the last 5-6 years, are right at the top. Who else would I call elite? Russell Wilson's right there, but I'm not ready to say it yet. I'm not ready to pull the E word. Certainly not Eli. I don't give a shit what anybody says about him winning 2 Super Bowls. Elite quarterbacks don't have shitbird seasons like Eli Manning's having right now for the Giants. I know he doesn't have help. I know his O-line's not that good. Still, Eli is not elite. He's good. Big Ben? I get Big Ben elite status? Yeah, I'll sneak Big Ben in there. So that'll be it. That'll be the 5. Tommy, Peyton, Drew Brees, Rodgers. I'll go Big Ben. I think there's anyone else I'm missing. Second part of the question. How unelite is Alex Smith? I don't think Alex Smith is unelite at all. I think Alex Smith is a really good quarterback. I think he's a real solid quarterback. I wouldn't put the favorite of the keyboard jock sniffers. I wouldn't call him the game manager. Okay, I think that term's lame anyways. Okay, it's not like he's working at a Staples. It's not like he's telling people to stock shelves. You got friggin' 280-pound lightning quick linemen coming at you, and it's very difficult to just manage the game. But I don't think he's unelite. I think he's very good. I think he's a very good quarterback. I think a lot of teams would be glad to have him. Certainly in the upper third of quarterbacks in the NFL. So I don't think he's unelite. What's it all? Semantics. What does elite mean anyway? They're in the NFL, for fuck's sake. They're elite. They're one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the world. By itself, being in the NFL, by its very nature, makes you elite. I digress. It's all relative. Acacia. At pseudo Acacia. Who's more likely to move next year? AP, assuming that means Adrian Peterson, or Andre Johnson? And what's the best fit for them, for whoever it is? Well, shit. I'm biased to the Patriots, so either one of them going to the Patriots would be a great fit. However, I'll take the bait. I'll take the obvious one. Adrian Peterson. I'm going to say Adrian Peterson. I'm going to say Adrian Peterson in Dallas. Shit, you got Tony Romo, Adrian Peterson, and Des Bryant. Man, it's a powerhouse. I don't know. I just, like I said before, I think it's something about Adrian Peterson that just, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to be healthy, but he's still, he's 28, 29 years old. I know there's usually a marked decline in running backs at that point, and it's tried and true, but I still think he's got a few years left in him. Guy just runs at a different level. Looks like a damn thoroughbred in the backfield going through. So, yeah, all right, there it is. I'll take it. But how about Andre Johnson? Let's play hypotheticals for a minute. Where are you, Lurk? Put Andre Johnson on the Patriots, Tom Brady throwing to him, please. Or even put him with Peyton. Peyton, he does have... What I don't know if I read it earlier, but I'll read it again. The first team in the history of the NFL to have 4 players with 10 plus TDs in a season. And there's one, and somebody, I think, was it, there's one more guy on the team. I don't know his name, escaped me, but he's got 9. They could have 5 guys with 10 plus TDs. So they have an abundance of weapons. Imagine Andre Johnson, the Pats. Of course, they will never go ahead and do that. Seems like they want Tom to just throw to average, mediocre receivers, and they'll go, well, they went and got Randy Moss. Oh, yeah, what happened that year? Just broke the record for the most touchdown passes ever. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, man, they got to go out and pull a trade. Whatever. Birthdays this week. Speaking of the Pats, former Pat great Adam Vinatieri, 41 years old. Wow. You know, he's been on the Colts now as long as he was in the Patriots. That doesn't even seem possible. T.O., 40 years old. I think it's today. You know what blows my mind? T.O. is the number 2 in the all-time receiving yardage list. Unreal. It'll be fun when he gets inducted into Canton. Listening to him. Get up there and spit on the mic. Odds and ends. What do we got? Chris Peterson to Washington. I thought that was a good hire. Chris Peterson, of course, from Boise State. Jumping back into the college game. I think it's a good hire for Washington. Washington has a tremendous tradition. They could do a fine job there. Speaking of what, how about Dan Hawkins? I didn't even realize this until I started reading about Boise State. Dan Hawkins, the guy who really took Boise State from nowhere and made him into, I wouldn't say a powerhouse, but, an elite, to borrow a phrase from MJ Chandler, an elite program. Boise State's got to be there. I didn't realize he got fired this year. He was a head coach of the Montreal Alouettes. Got fired after 5 games, after 2 and 3 start, and had a disastrous tenure at Colorado. What happened? Funny how guys can just fall off like that. Huh. Leave you the last thing. Top 10. Florida State, obviously. Auburn. How Gus Malzahn didn't win Coach of the Year and David Cutcliffe from Duke did. I don't get it. I think a team like Duke should be pretty good at football. And, ACC championship, hey, everyone, had a good year. But I would just think that would be a huge recruiting tool to be able to bring guys into Duke in the middle of January. It's beautiful there, I'm sure. And take them to a basketball game. It's going to be great. You say they're a basketball school. There's plenty of resources to go around. But I digress. Auburn, number 2. 0-8 last year, playing for a national championship. You kidding me? 0-8 in the SEC, to play for a national championship. Bama, 3. Michigan State, 4. Out of nowhere. Number 1 defense in the country. Baylor, 5. Ohio State, old Urban. Sitting there eating his Purple Johns on the golf cart after the game. Stanford, South Kakalaka, Mizzou, and Oklahoma sneaking in there. That's your top 10. What else we got? We're running out of time. I'm friggin' 3 sheets to the wind at this point anyway. It's funny, I get drunk and I watch games and I end up making these non sequitur freaking notes that don't make any sense to me. Like, for example, I wrote down in my football notebook, fans of One Direction. What the hell does that have to do with anything? How about this one? Watching Sophia the First in Disney. I don't even know what Sophia the First is, for Christ's sake. Oh, maybe that's a sign of a problem. I do know what Sophia the First is. I've never seen it, but my niece is really into it, my 4-year-old niece. But, yeah, I don't know why I decided to just write this stuff down. Jeopardy tickets, Sonic toothbrush, Shaquille. I don't know. I gotta find that out. All right, well, that's it. I'm winding it up. Follow us at Hard Yards LA on Twitter. Follow us at Hard Yards LA on Vine. He's starting to really enjoy the Vine. I like the little snippet, the video snippets. An odd era we live in. Just post these video snippets. Follow us on Vine. Follow us on whatever. I still don't have a Facebook. I thought I had one, but Facebook scares me. I don't like seeing. I really don't care about, kids I played Little League baseball with and shit like that. All right, that's it. Next week, though, we are on Monday. My boy's getting released from prison on Sunday. Got to go to that party. So we'll be Monday night. That's it. I'm the coach. I'm out. Later.